if AI exposes the same breakdowns repeatedly, it's probably not the process, it's probably the leader. You've really got to have a mindset shift and stop fearing it as competition and start treating it as a teammate that amplifies your human strengths.
Instead, she's flipping the script. AI is exposing poor leadership and empowering the ones who know how to inspire, adapt, and evolve.
It's AI plus people. And leaders who can train both will be the ones who thrive.
I think curiosity as a leadership skill will replace control, right? In this AI-generated world. Because the leaders who thrive won't be the ones who know every answer. They'll be the ones who know how to ask better questions of both humans and machines.
Welcome back to Blade to Greatness, the podcast where retail leaders sharpen their edge one skill at a time. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
And I'm Casey Golden. This season, we're diving deeper into the traits that separate a good leader from the great ones. And today's episode might be redefining what leadership looks like in the age of AI.
Our guest today is April Sabral, renowned leadership coach, author, and her most recent book, Positive Accountability for Teams, and founder of Retail U and Ask April AI, who's here to challenge the narrative that AI is replacing leaders. Instead, she's flipping the script. AI is exposing poor leadership and empowering the ones who know how to inspire, adapt, and evolve.
April shares how AI is leveling the playing field for small businesses, giving them access to tools once reserved only for big brands. And she reveals why the future isn't AI versus people, it's AI plus people. And leaders who can train both will be the ones who thrive.
If you're ready to lead with vision, not fear, and to embrace the tech that's reshaping retail, this episode is your wake-up call. Now, before we jump in, I just have one quick ask of our listeners and viewers. If you like our show, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and drop a quick review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or GoodPods. We really appreciate your support.
That's right. And we would be remiss if we didn't drop a quick plug for the other shows in the Retail Razor podcast network. Please do yourself a favor and go check them out. The Retail Razor Show, Retail Transformers, and Data Blades. If you're on Apple Podcasts, just search for the Retail Razor channel and you'll find them all. Or put a face to our names and visit our YouTube channel.
Okay, with that said, let's get into the episode.
April, welcome back to another Blade to Greatness. It's always such a treat to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love this show.
Well, it's always great to have you on, especially since you recently helped us kick off our new Retail Transformers podcast. You've got your new recently released book, Positive Accountability for Teams. I've got my copy and I'm really enjoying that. So really, really wonderful to have you today.
Thank you.
So today you're here to talk about a really important topic. It's incredibly timely, I think, for every retail leader and something I'm sure every leader is hopefully deeply thinking about. And that's the future of AI in leadership and how AI can really give leaders an edge. So tell us how leaders should be looking at AI.
Yeah, I think leaders should be looking at AI as their assistant, their companion, their coach, their problem-solving partner, and as a tool to help them get clarity, get clear on things when they're solving things, and really looking at it as a partner. We use it every day. And when I'm coaching leaders, I was just coaching somebody this week on it, and they were struggling with just a clear job description. I was like, well, hold on, let's look at what you have. Let's put it in. Let's see what the market determines that job would be. And let's help it get really clear. Because I think people struggle with language and communication. We've seen that because we train people all day on communication. So I think you can see it as a partner, an assistant, whatever, as long as it's like helping you with your job maximize your performance. That's where I think you can use it very, very well.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. So if we think about how a retail leader should measure, for example, if AI is either helping them expose leadership failures versus process gaps. I mean, are there specific behaviors or metrics that leaders should be looking for that might trigger an action for that?
Yeah, I think here's the test. If AI exposes the same breakdowns repeatedly, it's probably not the process, it's probably the leader. And so a temporary gap might be a system glitch. We've all seen that, right? If something's not performing, something's not getting done. But a leadership failure is when you see behavior gaps like miscommunication, lack of follow through, or poor accountability, behaviors showing up across different tools and metrics. I think you have to look at response times, you have to look at completion rates on things, and how quickly a team adapts. So if the tech works, but the people resist, you've definitely got a leadership gap, not a process gap. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah. So April, what does it look like when leaders successfully train humans and machines together, which I know is something you've talked about before? What are the mindset shifts that are needed to really lead in that kind of a hybrid environment?
I think leaders have to have a curious mindset. I think curiosity as a leadership skill will replace control, right? In this AI-generated world, because the leaders who thrive won't be the ones who know every answer. They'll be the ones who know how to ask better questions of both humans and machines. You have to be very, very curious and be able to iterate with AI and ask questions of it to get the best out of it. And that's a human condition as a leader that is always lacking. I mean, we see it in accountability where leaders are just directing and not clarifying, right? Clarifying is curiosity. So curiosity will definitely have to replace control. And then secondly, I think adaptability. AI changes really, really fast, and so must your style. Ambiguity is something that I learned and developed as I grew in my leadership role from being a store manager to being a senior vice president. We didn't have all the answers all the time for everything. And we had to live in this world of ambiguity and just getting curious. So you have to also add in the last one, which is transparency. If you're hiding decisions or using AI in a non-transparent way, I think AI will expose your gaps as a leader. I think the future leaders will lead with data, but also with trust. And so that trust is going to be built on having a curious mindset, asking the questions, showing up with adaptability, and then sharing transparently how you're using it to get to those answers, and then teaching other people how to do that too.
Yeah, so it's really about having everyone on the same page, working together, sharing that trust, but and the data, but always be keeping everyone up to date in the team, as well as from leaders to teams, on just what's happening and where AI is bringing that benefit.
Yeah, and I think 3 skills that I think I was just talking to a leader about this the other day is like ideation, curiosity, agency. These are 3 skills that I think are going to be really, really important in the future workforce that we're going to have to train people on actually as leaders, because curiosity, leadership trait, human trait, you've got to ask questions. Ideation, hello, like you've got to be asking questions and ideating all day. And then agency, because you own it. Like you have to have agency how you show up and interact with AI and with people, right? It's ownership. I think that's where it comes back to accountability too.
This has to be a lot with an organization's culture and changing that culture from managers and leaderships being very task-oriented to really people coaching. How does that look, as you can't have one leader moving forward this direction and then not be meeting these KPIs or have different ways of measuring growth or success if everybody's not really on board yet?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you have to be, again, and this is why I think positive accountability is so important. It's not here to just talk about that, but I think the steps involved in that are so crucial, because we have to become coaches in this new era. We have to become coaching, leading others with a training mindset. And we have to discover and ask those questions of what's holding them back. And we have to also assume that there is resistance there, because there is. And if we're not peeling back those layers and considering that in the workforce, we're never going to adopt change effectively and positively, right? So whether it's AI, whether it's a new tool, whether it's a new policy, whatever's coming down the pipeline, you've really got to have a mindset shift and stop fearing it as competition and start treating it as a teammate that amplifies your human strengths. And I think that really requires leaders to take a coaching approach and that whole change management formula, right? Of like walking people through what's in it for them. So that's going to be really, really important, I think, as we continue to grow in this area. And I think it's, again, the whole ambiguity iteration process of it. We're going to be learning as we go, but we're working together with machines now. It's not going backwards, and have to get people to adopt it positively.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Do you see this working the same for small retail business leaders as much as for large enterprise leaders? And is AI, in a sense, helping to level the playing field a bit for those small business leaders?
I think it is, because I work with a small boutique owner, a few of them actually, and they can't necessarily afford to have a consultant come in, or they just don't have the funds and the money to be able to bring in high-priced consultants and hire people. Even thinking about hiring a director of HR, for example, somebody I was working with the other day, and we were trying to really wrap our heads around, like, what does he need in terms of his general managers to do? What are the responsibilities? He, in the past, would have to find a HR person to come in, pay them to do all of this. And we just basically got an AI tool, opened it up, went through it, put in his tool, and recreated his job description for the dream manager that he wanted, so he could pull himself out of doing everything. Because that is the number one thing with small business owners, they're doing everything.
Right.
And in the past, he didn't have that tool. And he was like, wow, that took us 5 minutes. Now I can create a job posting. Now I can go out and find that person. That was 5 minutes that in the past would have never got solved like that, because he just didn't have the tool to do it or the insights to do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. April, this has been a fantastic discussion. Thanks for highlighting such an important topic that I think every retail leader should be thinking about and applying today with AI.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed our show, we have a simple ask. Please consider giving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or GoodPods. Remember to smash that subscribe button in your favorite podcast player, and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. I'm Casey Golden.
Please follow us and share your feedback at Retail Razor on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. Subscribe to our Substack newsletter to preview the best highlights from each episode right in your email inbox. Visit our website at retailrazor.com for transcripts and more info about each episode and our amazing guests. Blade to Greatness is part of the Retail Razor Podcast Network. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay sharp, lead boldly, and stay human. This is the Retail Razor Blade to Greatness.